State may be putting you in harm's way. Randy Page shows us the buildings we're required to spend time in that could become death traps.
If walls could talk,
Conrad Robert Murray, guilty.
These walls could echo an earful.
Philip Spector, guilty of the crime of second-degree murder.
And while details in the lives of the famous
Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder,
and the infamous are often revealed here,
Count 1, murder. Count 2, attempted murder. Count 3, felony hit and run.
there is an untold story that jurors like Linda Young are unaware of as they enter the courthouse to do their civic duty.
Being on the 11th floor of a building just scares me to death.
It is a story about those very walls that, by the state's own assessment, could come crashing down in a strong earthquake. A 19-story building with more than 6,000 people inside on any given workday. The state calls it a Category 5 building. That means it is likely to partially collapse, and its risk to life is substantial.
This means this is a building that even in a relatively likely earthquake does not have the structural integrity to stay up.
USGS seismologist Lucy Jones is one of the state's leading experts on earthquakes. She is a senior science advisor to Mayor Eric Garcetti.
With these buildings, they are made of materials that are heavy enough that partial collapse kills people. Now, it's not complete rubble completely on the ground, but it's just about as bad as you can get. You know, all those pictures we're seeing from Nepal, that couldn't happen to us, right? People trapped in downed buildings. That's what we're talking about here.
We have obtained state documents that conclude 9 corner columns do not have adequate strength, and failure of these columns is deemed a potential life safety hazard.
Probable loss of life in a Category 5 building, yes.
And the criminal courts building isn't the only courthouse in California at risk of collapse in an earthquake, not by a long shot. A few blocks away, the Stanley Mosk Courthouse is on the list, along with courthouses in Van Nuys, Burbank, Glendale, Hollywood, Beverly Hills, East LA, Torrance, Inglewood, Santa Monica, and Santa Clarita. And that's just the beginning. Out of 45 courthouses in LA County, 35, that's 78%, are likely to partially collapse and put lives at substantial risk. And in the surrounding counties, 5 courthouses in Orange County, 7 in Riverside County, 3 in San Bernardino County, and 1 in Ventura County. In all of California, a total of 124 courthouses are likely to partially collapse, and nothing is being done about it.
Partial collapse of the building. Partial collapse means literally walls falling on people, trapping them, killing them.
These are lives that can be lost. This is property that will be destroyed.
LA Mayor Eric Garcetti says he had no idea the problem is this severe until we brought it to his attention.
These buildings are dangerous. They should be fixed now.
We live in a world of limits, particularly of financial limits.
Judge William Heiberger is a member of advisory committees on court facilities for the State Judicial Council. He says the $65 million a year the state provides to maintain courthouses can barely cover broken elevators and leaky roofs.
So if they won't give us money to fix elevators, I don't know why they're going to give us money to deal with seismic problems, and that's the legislature and the governor's choice.
By your numbers, about 5 million jurors will be summoned into courtrooms in California in buildings that are not safe in an earthquake. Don't you owe them a higher level of safety than that?
Well, life has many risks. Driving to the courthouse has risks. Taking the bus to the courthouse or trolley to the courthouse has risks. Living has risks.
You can do it in degrees.
Structural engineer David Koch of the Earthquake Engineering Research Institute says there are cost-effective options. For example, strengthening the columns in the criminal courts building could go a long way toward preventing a collapse.
They don't need to bring them up to current code. They need to improve the performance and therefore reduce the risk.
Lucy Jones puts it this way.
There's plenty between that Cadillac seismic resilience and killing people. And let's find that place in between.
As for retired Temple City bookkeeper and soon-to-be grandmother Linda Young, she says jurors like her deserve a safe place to fulfill their civic duty.
They require us to serve, and it should be a protected environment.
For them to risk their own lives, that's wrong.
What would you tell the state today?
Tell the state, put a plan together tomorrow. You can't fix it overnight, but if you are just sitting on your hands, you're rolling the dice.
And if the state loses that bet, it's jurors like Linda Young who could be summoned to pay the price. In Los Angeles, Randy Page, CBS 2 News.
For a complete list of the 124 courthouses across the state that are likely to partially collapse in an earthquake, head to CBSLA.com.